movies for black girl nerds.
Amber and Tosin, you guys are so beautiful on camera together. And I like what your story brings to the mix. Oftentimes we can have it all, but it's not exactly right. And we never see that kind of layer of Blackness and Black love. It's always something wrought in strife. And in this case, it's all the way together, but is it all the way together? Amber, is that a fair assessment to say what Whitney's going through? She's got something ideal, but it's not.
That's perfectly said. That's basically Whitney's whole story. That's her whole life. Everything is ideal. On paper, this girl has literally everything. She's, has supportive friends. She's got a great career. She's well educated. She's got a beautiful fiance who adores her. She's got everything that everyone else wants, and yet there's still something that's making her think maybe it's not enough, and maybe I've made some, I had blinders on to go after my ambitions, and maybe that's not the road that I should have taken. And there's she's just very unsure of where she is in her life, and so you find her through this whole first season leaning hard on her friends to be like, tell me what to do with my life. I don't know who I am. And I love that's depicted in this relationship between two Black people. This man is showing up for her, and he's supportive, and he's loving, and he's giving her everything she needs. And it's like you said, this relationship's not, it's not bound in strife. There's not a lot of conflict between them. It's not so dramatic, and this is relatable. This is also real relationships can look like this too.
Absolutely. And we hardly ever get to see this version of Black love that's not that undercurrent. And also, Tosin, with your character, Ola, I love the cultural identity that's brought into it, because as now we expand our Black stories, a lot of us are first generation, second generation of Blackness from somewhere else that's not rooted in American ideals, and bringing that into the mix of what it means to be Black in America. Is that relatable to your own story, or how would you describe Ola and he and Whitney's relationship?
Well, yeah, first of all, it is very relatable for me. I am a Nigerian American myself, and the character is a Nigerian American. He's like an almost perfect composite of who I am and the influences that made me, and I think that is so vitally important in terms of representation and continuing to diversify the Black stories that we tell, because Nigerians, we're out here.
For real.
Out here, and we have assimilated into the culture, and it's interesting to see where there is friction in the places that have not coalesced. And I think me and Whitney experienced that, and we have to deal with some of the heavy expectations of such a big, weighty, historic Nigerian culture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tosin. No, please continue.
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of the couple, everything Amber said is spot on, because it's like some couples you see depicted and you just know, that's not right. That's not going to work out. Those people are fundamentally not compatible. And everything about Ola and Whitney matches up and lines up. And even in those circumstances, you could still run into some serious bumps. So we got to figure out how to bounce with them, I guess.
Absolutely. And Amber, with Whitney is able to lean on this beautiful group of strong women who like her have a lot of things together in their lives, career-wise, goals, direction, but don't have it all figured out. And that's okay, because that's real life. And those are other aspects of Black stories that we don't always get to see. It's either we got it all or we don't got it, none of it. And bringing that care and bringing Whitney to life along with all of the other ladies, how would you say that mirrors what's going on with Black women now and our stories?
It's the true experience. That's why I was so was so excited when I read this script because I was like, finally, I can relate to these characters. This is what my friend group looks like. You know, we are doing great. You know, on paper, all of us are really happy and in wonderful relationships and, you know, in career fields that make us feel fulfilled, and we support one another. But boy, are we all flawed, and we are leaning on each other hard to get through this. And we need that support in order to help us go off and run the world every morning. You know, when we wake up, it's run the world is an affirmation. You know, that's why they chose that title for our show. And you need the support of your tribe in order to run the world. And I find it very refreshing to finally see characters like that on TV who are running the world, but they are still flawed. We are just humans.
And lastly, Tosin, I'm not trying to get into your personal business like this, but is your family, as a Nigerian, is your family all over the women that you date? When you try to bring somebody around the family, are they trying to are they trying to run the world for you too?
They have been known to opinionate. And I have some, particularly a couple uncles who are the greatest men, but sometimes they try to shop around some Nigerians my way, and it's very, very funny and adorable, and it's an expression of love, so I'll take it.
And lastly, you know, there's going to be the inevitable comparisons of this show to other shows that feature 4 women living in a very sexy city. Amber, is it, when you hear those inevitable comparisons, do you receive it as a compliment? Do you receive it as, I just want us to stand on our own merits? Like, how do you receive that type of feedback from potential viewers or people who are reading about what the show is going to be?
I think it's great to be compared. I mean, most of those shows that people want to compare us to are iconic shows that were around for a long time for a reason, because people like to stick around and watch those characters every week. And I think that this show is going to give you that too. But I think our show still can stand alone on its own. It's still its own thing. You know, a lot of these shows that show women and their friendships and what they're dealing with in their world, a lot of it is based on their romantic lives and their dating, and how to get a man and how to keep a man, and what we need to do to fix ourselves in order to like fit into that world so that we can like be marriage material or whatever. Our show is not at all about that. Our show is about living. Our show is about friendship. Our show is about just our experiences, you know, being human beings in the world, and how we move through life and how we fall down and get back up. So I'm honored to be in the same category as these shows, but we still can stand on our own. We are our own new thing.
Absolutely. I loved it. Thank you guys for your time. I truly enjoyed it, and can't wait for folks to see it. Thank you again.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Thank you so much for both of your time. I enjoyed your relationship in particular, because it can be very tricky in the workplace and the school place, because love can find you wherever it finds you. Beginning with you, Corbin, SONDI is a very accomplished woman, and she's blazing her own path, but yet sometimes as Black women, we still have to explain ourselves of how we got there, no matter how much diligence and how much work we put in for paramours or any other experiences explaining how we got there. Is that a fair assessment to say about SONDI and where she's at in her life?
Absolutely. There's actually, I don't know if they let you watch this episode, but there is an episode in which she does feel like she's being judged, and she has to explain herself a bit, and explain the validity of her relationship. I think, you know, when you combine work and love, historically, what it can be questioned, like, is this woman doing this to get ahead? Is this genuine? Is this just opportunism? Is that a word? She being an opportunist. So she definitely goes through that, and it's unfortunate, right? I mean, because they definitely have something that's very genuine, and they have something that's very real. And they just happen to work together.
Mm-hmm. What I enjoy, Stephen, from your point of view, is the what you bring to your character is a loving, strong, secure man that doesn't feel like he has to be domineering or has to be controlling and for this kind of age gap, career combined relationship to make it work. Is that fair to say about your character, Matthew, that he has that security, that he doesn't have to act heavy-handed, I guess you could say?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I really like about Matthew, is that he genuinely wants SONDI to win. And, you know, sometimes when you have success and you start to elevate, you can get consumed, you can become self-absorbed. And I think that Matthew at times becomes very self-absorbed, but then he realizes his mistake and he tries to rectify it. And that's one of the things I like about him. He's willing to step back and say, no, it's not all about me, it's about us. And I want to make it about her right now. I've got mine, I want to see her get hers. And a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people would have to have the spotlight all the time, especially when they're successful. And I think Matthew shows a unique ability and desire to want to separate the equal pieces of the pie and let SONDI, and he's accepting of her reminding him that, hey man, don't forget, I'm my own individual person here. I'm not coming into your world totally. I want to have my own world. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I want to give you the space to do that. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things I like about Matthew. And you're very much on the nose with that assessment.
Thank you. Corbin, back to you. SONDI is such a wonderful Renaissance woman, super educated, very much aware of herself, her own security, her goals, but still fits into this friend group of women where they're very loving, very supportive, and there's just no competition. It's just love when they're together. We as Black women know that to be true. It's not always chaotic and all this animus like we're portrayed to be. How do you feel bringing this to the forefront, sharing these layered stories of Black women that we don't get to see often enough?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's a whole franchise built off of women, Black women, but also women in general, just being catty and unsupportive and competitive with one another. There are several franchises built off of that, but one in particular, which I will not name, but I think we all know what I'm talking about. And these women their friendship is enviable. I mean, they treat each other like their family. I mean, and even when they're hard on each other, it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of, I want to lift you up and make you better. Even if you don't want to hear this, or this might hurt you in the moment, I'm telling you this because I want to lift you up. And these women are all so different. There's room for all of them to succeed. So there's no like stepping on the other one to get to the top, because if I'm not at the top, then you make me feel bad about myself. It's like, no, there is room for all of us to succeed. And those are the kind of friendships that we need, like as women, and we need to lift each other up. Life is hard enough being a Black woman in America. Like, we need to support each other. So I'm so excited that we're getting to put out these images, and these are the kind of friends that I have. These are the kind of people that I surround myself with, right? So like, let's show more of this on TV so that we inspire people to be like this in their real lives.
It brought me a tremendous amount of joy, all of you, all of your characters. Thank you so much for your time, and can't wait to get on the Twitters with folks when it premieres.
I love Twitter.
Thank you. Take care.
Black Girl Nerd, I promised my boyfriend I would say this. Y'all got to check out Yasuke. It premiered tonight. I mean, today.
It's tonight?
Yeah.
On Netflix. I know y'all would love that.
I'm doing that right after we're done here.
On it. Thank you.
Black samurai anime. Mm-hmm.
Wait, say that again, Bresha?
Bresha, first Black anime, samurai anime, Yasuke, Yasuke.
UKE. Thank you so much. I'm going to tell my little one that too, because she's into it. But thank you. I am so excited about this show. Bresha, I knew you were funny, but every time I see you, you level it up and you level it up and you keep getting better and better and better. When you take a look at a role like RENEE, what is your process for shaping this character, putting your stamp on it and making sure you're true to the wishes of the writers and the integrity of what they've created?
Well, you know, RENEE was so ingrained with who I am naturally. I say this all the time, but my middle name is RENEE. The description of the show of the character was a Chihuahua in heels. I have a Chihuahua. I always wear heels. She's a Taurus. So am I. So just even looking at the character breakdown and then reading the script, I was like, this girl is loud. She's courageous. She's fun. She's spicy. Like, I'm all of those things naturally. So my take on it was I was just putting myself in it. And I always look for roles that are similar to my personality as well. There's always a stretch, you know, and I can use different characters to stretch me, but this was so a part of me. I was like, these characters I identify with, the friendships was so relatable and mirrored my friendships that I have with my strong girlfriends that help me run the world. I was like, I just need to be a part of this show. So coming to it and meeting Leigh and Yvette, they were like, Bresha, just walking in, they were like, yeah, we get it. You're fashionable, you're spicy, you're fun, you're a natural Taurus, you're the energy of RENEE. And so I just brought myself and I put myself in these situations, and it just happened that these situations that RENEE is going through were so in line with things that I've gone through. You know, a marriage, I haven't been married, but a relationship that isn't working and feeling betrayed and wanting to break out and be free, and also twirl and try to show how perfect you are, but really, you're really cracking at the surface. Like, I was like, this is a complex character, and you never get to see Black women showcased in this way, where we can be soft still, carrying the world and gracefully walking through it, but soft and, you know, and beautiful and, you know, inspired by other people and friends and wanting more and declaring more, you know. It's just, I saw so much of myself in it and what I want to become. So in RENEE.
I knew RENEE was a Taurus too, because I'm also a Taurus. And there's a couple lines in there, May 14th.
May 6th.
Hey, and I said, RENEE is a Taurus. And then you were like, and I'm a Taurus. I'm like, see, I already know. We know our people.
We know our people.
As Jason, what I particularly liked about Jason is sometimes Black men, brothers, get put into the position where you are coupled with a strong, assertive Black woman, and they feel, and people have this characterization that you're either you're henpecked and you don't have a voice in it. And I'm glad that Jason doesn't have that tired trope. He's there and he's just trying to navigate it too and trying to figure it out. And I'm sure as the episodes go on, we'll learn more about him. Is this a good, will this add to kind of dismantling that trope that the Black man has to, you know, has to be henpicked or fall back and let the woman take charge or all of those things?
No person is any one thing. And I think the beautiful thing about this show is we see the multi-dimensionality of each person. There is no stereotype or trope. We're breaking all of that. So Jason is in a relationship with a very strong woman, but he is also a very strong man. The funny thing where we meet Jason, he's in the course of a losing argument and he knows he's wrong, which is funny to see him kind of not be able to check his ego and be like, yo, listen, I know I messed up. He can't do it. He can't do it because he's so strong, because he has such a vision. And I think that makes it so much more interesting than if he was, because he loves RENEE. He loves her with all of his heart. but he also wants this other thing. He wants both things. And seeing that conflict is, I think, very interesting and unique.
It is. This series brought me so much joy because it you know, harkens me back to the golden era of kind of Black shows, Black sitcoms, Black cast. Lastly, for you, Bresha, when you look at this assortment of women, the chemistry between all of you was fantastic. And I just felt like a voyeur, just kind of looking in on your conversations. What is the key to building that kind of chemistry with each other on set and just in Black women in general, from your perspective?
Well, I feel like, I'll start with the last part. In general, it's just for us to see how much in common we have with each other, and not to be in competition, you know, for us to just be open with each other and vulnerable about our fears. And let's just start there first, and grow from there. I feel like a cast, it was right at the instant that we met each other. Amber Stevens West and I knew each other from other projects. So we were already like obsessed, and we're like, oh, you're doing it. Oh, I'm doing it. Like, you're in, I'm in, you know? So we already had our friendship. And when we met Corbin, Reid, and the chemistry test, it was just instantaneous. And as well as Andrea, Bordeaux, we kind of became girl crushes with each other, and complimenting each other and seeing our strengths and how different we were. And I feel like this show is so needed in a world of the Real Housewives and all these other reality shows where it's depicting the real lives of Black women. We can also show the other side that's more relatable, the sorority culture of women. I was raised by, my mom is a part of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So I was raised around tribes of women, you know, the tribal thing of women, of holding each other up and being each other's prayer partners, and, you know, and all of that. And so it's so important for women to see our friendships reflected on camera and in the media. So yeah, it was just instantaneous and light captured in a bottle for this show, and for us as women to come together. And Leigh Davenport and Yvette Lee Bowser also set the precedent as well, because you saw their sisterhood already, and there were so many Black women behind the scenes, and just women just in general a part of our show, that, you know, it just created this community of trust. And I think that's really aspirational for the people that'll be watching this, especially women, to see women getting along and women lifting each other up.
It definitely is. Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed it. I can't wait for the Twitters to get crazy with it.
We want Black Twitter to love us.
Yeah,
oh, they will.
I think they will.
They will for sure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Take care.
Woo, woo, woo. I am very excited to talk to the two of you. When I thought of your relationship, it made me think of the signature song the song that the show gets its name from. And when Queen Bee says, boy, I'm just playing, come here, baby, I hope you still like me. And that kind of was, in a nutshell, that was the first thing I thought of with the title and you guys' relationship. And it's rough. It's rough. Sometimes, you know, you have to let them go, and sometimes they come back. And I think we all can relate to that. Andrea, how would you say Ella is adjusting to, you know, the past popping back up on her? Because we all could use some tips on how to deal with that.
You know, I have to admit that Ella, she struggles. She struggles in the beginning. It's very difficult for her to kind of get her bearings after, you know, Anderson, you know, returns into her life like a tornado. You know, it was very much unexpected and kind of shook her foundation. She's already on such shaky ground anyway because of the career setback that she's had. And so it's very interesting to watch her kind of deal with, you know, the aftermath of his return. And she makes some not so great choices in the first few episodes because she's really just still coping with the heartbreak and doesn't really understand, you know, what is happening in terms of her connection with Anderson. So it's very interesting.
Oh, Nick. We've all met an Anderson in our life at some point in our lives. And is it, you know what? In his case, in his defense, he's a career man from what we know. We'll probably find out more. Is it as simple as saying he's a F-boy, or he's being misguided by, or he's pursuing his path? Is it a little more gray than that for him, or is it just exactly that?
No, I think there's a lot more to it. I mean, him and Ella, they have a very strong connection. They've been in each other's lives before we pick up for a while. And then it's that vital period of growth, you know, the early 20s, that's really when you're becoming an adult and finding out who you are, who you want to be. So they've been together through such a pivotal point in each other's lives. That's why the connection is so deep. But then again, it comes to that modern question of, you know, in this day and age, we're very career orientated and people have their purposes and ambitions. And I think we all should have something we strive for outside of love. It's the balance of finding a good balance between them of, you know, I need this for me and my career, but I also need you. And sometimes, you know, one can fall behind. And I think he really realizes that at the start when he's had time to be away, because sometimes you do need time apart. And that's when you really realize, oh, that was it. That was the one. And, you know, I'll do anything to try and get her back.
Andrea, with you and the other ladies and your characters have such a beautiful chemistry, leaning heavily into sisterhood and support and really positive affirmations and being with each other. As we as Black women know, it is like that. It's not always either you have it together or you don't. You have a strong tribe of people who lift you up. The other ladies have expressed this mirrors so much of their own real lives. Is your own real life like that too, with a strong tribe of sister support?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, first of all, like, I'm so unapologetically woman-centric, and I don't care who doesn't like it. That's just how I've always been, and it served me well. And you know, my friends are my family. Like, of course, you have your blood family that you're born into, but the gift of this life is that we also get to choose our family. That's part of our, you know, part of the gift of free will and leaning into alignment. You know, you align with people who are going to not only, you know, support you and elevate you, but you get to be that for them as well. And it's so essential, especially in the context of our society, which has so many toxic elements to it. You know, where it can be a very parasitic society in many, many ways. And so for Black women, it's absolutely essential. And I think that, you know, having a strong foundation of female friendships begins with a strong foundation of self-love, because women, you know, we're sisters, we're each other's direct divine mirror. And so if you don't see the value in yourself, and if you don't love yourself, then it's going to be very difficult for you to see the value and the love reflected back at you in the faces of other women. And so to have beautiful, you know, lasting, solid female friendships is such a gift, but it's also something that has to be cultivated. And I think that this show does a really great job of showing an example of that. And it's very aspirational in that for the women who maybe don't have that, or it's something that they're trying to build, they get to see the value in manifesting that into their lives.
Absolutely. And lastly, Nick, what is the best part of playing opposite this beautiful woman? Because your chemistry, even though we know it's the backstory of it is a little tender, what's the best part of being alongside this beautiful, talented woman and bringing this story to us that's going to come to us every week?
Just being able to share the screen with someone who's so wonderful, graceful, magnificent. I mean, you know, Ella's a fantastic character with so many. Her mind is just amazing. I love the way she thinks, but you know, knowing Andrea too, I can see the relations in her. She's an incredible woman, and we had some fantastic conversations just about stuff I'm interested too. You know, about how we inspire the youth, how we move forward as a culture, and someone who actually cares for the people, the culture, where we are as a state of humans, and how we can go forward and elevate. It's all about elevating. It's all about growth. It's all about love and how we become better as a society and more accepting, more open, where everyone can thrive. And you know, there's something I firmly believe in. I know she does too, and we just really clicked. I was just grateful. I was like, wow, I actually get to share the screen and grow with this wonderful human being.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Thank you guys for your time. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And I can't wait for other people to love it so we can talk about it.
Yes, let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.